Tech Yeah Podcast.
That's pretty good. Tech Yeah.
Tech Yeah.
All right, this is episode 21, the blackjack of episodes.
Dude, it can get drunk.
Yeah, this episode can get drunk.
Tech
This
Yeah
episode
can get drunk.
pays 1.5 times on your bet.
But let's be honest, Tech Yeah was getting drunk way before episode 21.
Tech Yeah was born drunk and
Yeah.
will die drunk.
I'd say that's sad. It's like the Curiosity rover. Like, it's sad to think of life after Tech Yeah.
How are these papers all out of order?
I don't know.
I just printed them, pulled them out of the printer, and they're all over the place.
Do you shuffle the deck before you got down here?
I don't think so. Bill, how are you this week? How are things going?
Fantastic, Tone Zone. We had a great Valentine's Day week. The weekend before, I tried to do a little flight that ended very quickly due to weather.
Okay, plane stuff.
Yeah, airplane stuff. There was a very unfortunately placed cloud that ruined the day. So I brought it down quickly, and that was really lame.
That sounds pretty lame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty lame. But it was fun because I flew in the air for, 10 minutes.
That's flying still.
Yeah, I still flew.
Yeah, flying's flying.
Flying is flying.
Oh, shit.
How was your week?
My week was pretty good. Trying to think. I've been playing that stupid Apex Legends game. And you can hear more about it on the Tech Yeah Games podcast.
I saw my first bit of gameplay yesterday during the stream.
It's
And
sweeping the nation, bro.
It's really cool.
It's
It
super
looks
cool.
It looks really fun. It looks like something that I would actually probably enjoy playing versus Fortnite, which I got no enjoyment
It's so
out
much
of.
better than it's so much more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks like it.
I think you'd really like it.
So I'll probably download that at some point soon, and maybe play with you, and just see what it's about. Because it's going. I think it's like that, like hype crescendo where like the one like it like the next thing is going to be bigger than the previous thing, almost because people feel like they have to be ramping it up.
They want to be on the latest one, whatever it is, regardless of the quality of it. Although I do think that this one is really fun. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on it because literally the Games podcast has been like nonstop Apex Legends talk. I kind of feel bad. I've been talking about it so much.
But I mean, we can not talk about the game and talk about what the game means, because like gameplay aside, point system, tournaments, who cares? But just a video game, it's free to play, which is the model that Fortnite used to its advantage over PUBG. And it doesn't appear, at least yet, to have the same level of like microtransaction skin stuff yet.
I kind of hope it does soon. I think that, I think part of Fortnite's, one of their biggest strengths is, it's almost just as fun to boot up the game and see what's new, twice a week or, all the time.
Yeah.
I don't buy, like, I haven't bought a lot of skins when I've played Fortnite. I don't play a lot of Fortnite, but I've bought a couple because you log in, you're like, oh, that one's super cool. Like, yeah, I'll spend $15 on that thing. That's sweet, you know? And, they refresh them so fast. There's just so many new ones coming out that it's like, one's gonna tickle your fancy. Like the dude in the dinosaur suit is cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really do hope they actually find some of that, like that cadence, because I think that's a real driver for keeping people engaged in the game. It's like going to the mall. Like when there's new stuff in the stores, it's fun to go shopping all the time. But when you feel like you've figured out the stores, it really is a very boring place.
Yeah, I saw this last month.
Yeah.
Same, it's the same mannequin in the front.
Yeah, you have the same shoes I've seen here every time. I'm not coming back.
Yeah. So I think this game is going to peak sooner than Fortnite did.
Yeah, I mean, it's moving a lot faster.
It's moving a lot faster. It's just like the recent hype train on some of these movies that have come out. You have like the build up to Force Awakens where people were just losing their freaking minds.
Yeah.
And then the next one, like Rogue One, people are losing their minds quicker, but then it dies quicker. And then it's going to take a couple of these game releases to kind of fizzle out, or just be like, what, this is kind of broken, or something's going to go wrong, and it's going to take a couple of games for it to die down.
I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, because we've had some real losers launch. We've had some BRs that definitely didn't hit the mark launch with big marketing pushes around them. So it's interesting to see, and it's weird because that industry is in such a strange place right now. Like there's like everyone gaming right now is reporting like record losses across the board. Like all these big publishers are losing money. Activision fired 800 people yesterday, or the day before yesterday, earlier in the week.
Yeah.
EA has been not doing well. Their stock has been doing terrible, and actually, they just got a stock bump from releasing Apex, but they're ultimately down, for the year, at least for the running year.
Right.
It's a weird time because it's. I feel like there's a lot of fear right now for what this year will bring for those companies. Will they rebound or will they not? I think they always have. So,
dude, it's a weird time for a lot of things.
Yeah, or a lot of industries are in a in a weird time right now.
And movies, just entertainment in general, movies, streaming services, TV, sports. It is very strange right now.
Yeah.
What's failing and what's succeeding is a crapshoot largely.
I don't think it's a crapshoot. I just don't think it fits the models that
maybe not to us. It might not be a crapshoot, but the stuff is getting put out.
Yeah, but I think I just think that there is a kind of a board of directors style. This is what's like data driven successful model that no longer is applicable, right? And no one wants to admit that they don't know how to forecast. You know what I mean? Like no one wants to be the bold one that's like, these things we count on, these methods we've used to predict our success are failing us now, like too consistently.
Mm-hmm.
We need to reevaluate how we predict success because a lot of what is successful right now are things like are very fan driven, very grassroots, very transparent processes, right? And those are the things that I feel like these companies don't know how to participate in.
Yeah, we're going to see more of the extremes, I think. We're going to see the extreme successes and we're going to see the extreme failures. Like Deadpool, for every Deadpool, we're going to get a Mortal Engines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you have like $150 million budget plus God knows how much in marketing spend and what did that movie make? $8 million in the first weekend?
Yeah, and not for every Avengers, we're going to see an Into the Spider-Verse. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, a very kind of avant-garde, like surreal kind of.
Well, I would say that Avengers is successful.
No, that's what I mean. I mean, Avengers is very successful, but they're going to have to also make the non-traditional version, right? Like, and Avengers is successful, but for how much longer? You know what I mean? Like I get that the
next movie is called The Endgame.
Yeah, I mean, I think they see the writing on the wall as well, which is smart. I think Marvel's been smarter than anyone in writing the swell and knowing that it needs to have an end point, right? It's they don't want to be Disney right now, pumping all this money into Star Wars, and not getting dividends on it. So yeah, it's an interesting time.
Well, I mean, the Marvel universe is kind of run from a narrative level by one guy. It's not as much committee as Star Wars is being run, and that's I think if you have a singular voice that's kind of shaping the narrative, that always is more successful.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, Kevin Feige is a freaking genius.
And to be fair, they've kind of until recently avoided kind of politics in their movies. You know what I mean? They've been very focused on having a good time, and I think that as much as it can be important and beneficial to make movies that kind of touch on these political keystones or culture, are you going to ignore Black Panther? No, that's what I mean. I think that's such a recent movie, you know? And I do think it's important to do those things, and you can do those things when the rest of your body, like if that's not your body of work, you know what I mean? You're allowed to do different and interesting things if you've proven that your body of work isn't just these kind of political kind of
it
fishing
wasn't
expeditions.
Yeah, it
you know
wasn't
what I mean?
virtue signaling.
Yeah, like
and I like full disclosure, I still haven't seen Black Panther. It is the one that I haven't seen
it's
yet.
just okay. It's really not the best.
Well, and that's what I've heard. But to me, it never, like, the marketing material, that movie's existence did not seem virtual signally to me versus the last Star Wars, which clearly was just like.
And it's not just politics. I mean, I feel like everything in Star Wars right now is a fishing expedition, right? Everything from like the Han Solo origin story, the how he got his name, and the dice, and the
we didn't need any of that.
And the politics, like every part of that movie seems like they're just kind of throwing in baited hooks, looking for something people will grab onto, right?
Yeah.
And all of it sucks and smells like fish bait. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I mean. That's where I say it's different. And I think that going back to our original point, like in games, we can smell the fish bait on all these games. You can see the hooks.
You can see where people are trying to add microtransactions just to be like, well, maybe this is going to be the next big thing that people are going to
just
clamor for.
trying to get a hook into an audience. And really like trying all these, old tropes and methods that have worked for them and constantly failing, So yeah, it's just an interesting time in that space, and it's an interesting time in, I think, kind of, I don't know, creative spaces in general right now.
It's corporate committees trying to go viral, which is so cringe.
Yeah, it is so cringe.
Because that's essentially what all this stuff is you're trying to go, like the monetized version of viral.
Yeah.
It's all it is, and you don't know what's going to happen. Like that tweet that you put out with the Curiosity rover.
It blew up, bro.
It blew up.
It's my biggest tweet ever.
It's awesome.
It's got like 1,000 likes right now.
Yeah, it's so great. But like, we, of course, whether it's like subconsciously or we're really trying to, we all want something that we say or do to be popular and go viral. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. So we're putting stuff out there to see what sticks, and you never know what is going to, catch, connect with people, and that's the problem that these committees are trying to, figure out. What loot box system is going to be like, oh, this is awesome, and people are going to be tweeting about this and going
even,
forward.
Even not just microtransactions, what gameplay mechanic, what?
Yeah. Well, and I kind of think that
what iteration on this?
Yeah, I kind of look at those microtransactions and skins as kind of a gameplay mechanic.
Yeah, they are.
I don't think traditionally we would consider that as a gameplay mechanic. It's more like, hey, can you vault or crouch?
Yeah.
As like a mechanic, but what skins you have is part of the gameplay nowadays.
Well, they're so prevalent right now.
Yeah, well, and it separates one game from another. I mean, you can have a game like PUBG, which doesn't really give a shit about skins as much, and then you have Fortnite, which is kind of the same type of game, but is all about what your dude looks like. It's a different.
PUBG, they just never found a good way to sell skins. I mean, that was their problem. Is they did try and be on that path, but their skin selling mechanics were really bad.
Well, it's just not the gameplay. Just to me, didn't support it, and that gameplay includes the art direction.
It was always the crates with keys, So in the beginning, you'd have a cool, jumpsuit or whatever, but that quickly got overcome by like Fortnite's like out there astronaut cool skin.
Well, but because the gameplay of PUBG was stealth, slow, methodical, blend in. Like it was like you wanted to be camoed. If you were in a white spacesuit, you'd be way easier to shoot.
Yeah, but that's true for Fortnite too. But people don't care if it looks cool. I mean, the reality is, as much as people act like, oh, I want an advantage. If they can look cool and win, they're gonna do it.
Right, but it is skewed more towards. I mean, if someone sees you, you can build a wall in front of you.
But
like there's ways around it, and it just is. It's more. It's
not being easily visible matters in all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, cool skins win,
yeah.
And believe me, enough people bought those stupid, the battle royale, the Japanese movie packs to get like the yellow jumpsuits and stuff to wear, and wore those yellow jumpsuits because they look cool, not because they were stealthy. You know what I mean? Like just like in Fortnite, people bought and spent money to get cool skins and purple mini skirts, right? because they look dope, even though they prohibited their gameplay. They just didn't have a good methodology to distributing those. But to keep it moving, isn't it amazing how sad it was that Mars rover died?
The message that it sent, you saw what it sent, right?
Yeah.
My batteries are dying. It's getting dark.
Yeah.
What the fuck? That is so sad.
Yeah, it's so sad. Like the whole thing is sad. Like they sent a Ella Fitzgerald song to it before it died.
God. Oh
it's
my
just
God.
You just think of like the sand, the desert of Mars with this Ella Fitzgerald just chiming out over and this rover is just like, brr. It is
good night.
Good night, sweet planet.
Oh, it's so sad.
It's so sad. I mean, we're tech. Yeah, we are very pro robot, and very pro rover. So, it's like it was very touching.
But dude, how amazing is that from a culture perspective that we're collectively sad? And collectively, anyone that heard about that or saw that is like, oh, no one's like, dude, it's a stupid robot. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like if you have a soul, it cried a little bit for that.
It's funny because it's just sad enough and just not sad enough to be like this great shared experience, right? If it was a child that died,
right?
And we were like, that's right, we shouldn't really talk about
this.
You know
really
what I mean?
Messed up, yeah.
But because it's a robot and we love the robot, it's like we can meme it and we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And we can kind of.
But dude, it's a robot on freaking Mars. It's another planet.
That's crazy.
It's a robot that we sent to another planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nuts, man.
That's
the
crazy,
whole story's
dude.
just nuts.
That's crazy.
All right, what do you? Did you want to bring a story? I got two stories here.
Yeah, you go. You hit us with it.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, this one I did specially for you.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's a special Billy Button special. I just said special like 6 times. I'm sorry. And this is from, where did I get these stories from? Engadget?
Did you make them up? Is this fake news?
I think Engadget.
Okay.
And this is Stephen Dent. If you don't work for Engadget, I'm sorry. Airbus ends production of its A380 Super Jumbo. Worse than the rover. Airbus will soon end production of the A380 Super Jumbo, the largest passenger plane to ever fly. It's capable of hauling up to 850 people, and flyers love it, especially those who can afford the amazing first-class seats and private cabins. However, airlines were less enthralled, and orders have been tapering off for years. The final straw came when the A380's best customer, Emirates, cut an order for the planes, forcing Airbus to admit in a statement that there was no basis to sustain production. Airbus built the A380 to compete with Boeing's 747 and expected airlines to embrace an even larger, longer-range plane that could fly between major hubs. However, a new crop of fuel-efficient twin-engine jets arrived at the same time it flew in 2007. Those could not only fly to smaller airports, but recent FAA ETOPS rules allowed them to fly over water for longer distances with fewer than 3 engines. So the story goes on, and basically they're going to fill the remainder of their orders, but they're dead.
Yeah, so the ending production side of this is a lot different in the airline industry than it would be like the automotive industry or something. Like when Pontiac dies or kills off a car, you do see a lot less of them, even though they're still driving around. The A380s that are out there are going to be flying for another 20 years.
Yeah, for a very long time. And I'm not going to say there's not a lot of A380s, but like they're, where they are. You know what I mean? You drive by LAX and you see an Emirates A380 and you're like, oh dang, the Airbus is like,
they're huge.
They're huge. And quite classy.
Yeah, they're cool. And they'll still be around. They're just not going to make more of them, which is something that was, I feel like, inevitably going to happen because the whole point of these jumbo jets, the 747 and the A380 was passenger per like pound of fuel and per fuel consumption rate. It's all about carrying more people for less money. That's the whole financial point of doing that. The newer crop of plane, which you alluded to, which is the Airbus A350 and the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Those are twin engine jets, huge Rolls-Royce turbofan engines. They're quieter. They're faster. They're more fuel efficient. They can carry a lot of people. They're very wide-bodied, long planes. They can't carry as many people as the Airbus, but the A380 and the 747, but it does it more fuel efficiently. So the actual cost per passenger goes down, and that's what airlines need in order to operate. And like you said in the story, like the first class, the luxury accommodations. I mean, they have literal apartments in those planes.
If you've never seen the 380, like just YouTube Emirates A380 first class cabin.
Crazy.
Bedrooms,
yeah.
like dining rooms.
Yeah, you can get your own apartment that for these long haul flights, and that's where airlines make their money.
Yeah.
It's not cramming people like sardines in the back. It's the really high margin, exclusive tickets.
Yeah, you basically pay for the gas in the cheap seats.
Yeah, you're subsidizing everyone, that's slumming it behind you. So this is really sad because it just is an indication that it was a failed idea. Because if you've ever seen one of these planes, they're amazing when you see them.
Yeah.
They're really, really impressive. The flying that I've done recently, when I fly over LAX, I can see those planes landing and taxiing around. I mean, from 5,500 feet, they still look massive.
Hey, you know what I gotta say about it? God bless America. Suck it to you. All right.
Well, so Airbus releases the A380, and it's a double decker. The 747 has a partial twin deck. So Airbus releases this complete all the way back twin level plane, and it's awesome. And it's got this value proposition. We can take 550 plus passengers and new fuel efficient engines and all that stuff. The same Rolls-Royce engines on these are what's on the 350 and the 787. So Boeing says, okay, we got to let's redo the 747. So they redesigned the wings, and the wing on the new the 747-800s are gorgeous wings. And then the updated engines, and also did some stuff in the cabin, but the airframe was still the same. So the development cost was a lot less than the clean sheet A380. So the 747-800, even though that plane is freaking by this point 70 years old, maybe something like that. Maybe not that old, 60.
This was a mistake.
It was a mistake. But that will live on because they don't have as much development cost to recoup. And so the justification for continuing to build those, they'll continue that plane for longer.
What's cool about the wings?
They just look awesome. The winglets, so there's there's vortices that come off the tip of the wings that create drag.
Oh no.
It's the result of lift.
Yeah.
So planes had
I know how science works.
created these winglets, which were basically just kind of like a right angle at the end of the wing, and like Southwest has like the branded ones on the side. Like you've probably seen those, and it stops that vortices from spilling over and creating drag and reducing lift.
What about on jets when they got the little straight ones hanging off the end?
That's what those are. It's stopping that spiraling
like
air
missiles on the end.
Yeah,
those are cool.
from coming off the wing and creating drag. So instead of having those right angle winglets, the Boeing wing, and I can't remember the name of the wing. They actually have a name for it. I think it's the designer of the wing. It's not a right angle. It actually follows like a natural airflow up and back that reduces it at a less harsh angle instead of that right angle winglet, which the air would just kind of like slam against.
Mm-hmm.
This enables it to kind of like naturally flow up and out instead of creating that huge vortices.
It does good. Saves on gas.
It saves gas. It produces more lift. It's just beneficial all the way around. It's just like reducing weight in a car. It's has so many benefits besides just its initial intended purpose.
This was super boring. I
Next
was
story.
cool until we started talking about wings. Like, I was happy I brought it up. I think this is a really relevant story. And then you're like, oh, but the winglets are amazing.
Look,
you should
it's
see these
Tony.
wings.
It is all technology. You can't be a technology snob. This is all important.
You should see
Air
these.
travel is has
these
changed the
wings are
the world.
Dope. You want me to go into my next story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is the one I'm worried about talking about. I'm
Okay.
scared
All right.
because I know how you get, and I want to make sure that we are.
What does that mean?
You know what it means. I want to make sure that we are approaching this from a place that our listeners want to hear it. But the story is Amazon won't build its HQ2 in New York City after all. This just dropped this morning. This is a story from Chris
Damn.
Holt.
So late last week, as you're hearing this, Amazon pulls the plug on HQ 2.2 because there's two headquarters.
I'm going to read this, okay? Amazon's officially pulling out of its plan to build a second headquarters, HQ2, in New York. Reports suggested last week the company was having doubts about the project in Long Island City, Queens, following stern oppositions from residents and lawmakers. For Amazon, the commitment to build a new headquarters requires positive collaborative relationships with state and local elected officials who will be supportive over the long term, the company said in a statement. While polls show that 70% of the New Yorkers support our plan and investment, a number of state and local politicians have made it clear that they oppose our presence and will not work with us to build the type of relationships that are required to go forward with the project. We and many others envisioned in Long Island City. After a lengthy search, Amazon had second headquarters in blah, blah, blah. You know all this. They plan to build a second headquarters in Long Island City, and they were going to receive $3 billion in state and city subsidies, and the campus was set to generate 25,000 jobs. I have Amazon's full statement here. I'm going to shuffle papers so I sound very official.
This is the Amazon statement.
This is Amazon's full statement.
Does it include Jeff Bezos' genitals?
No,
in the statement?
No, it does not.
Okay.
And it's not. His ex-wife isn't in this statement.
Okay.
Either. After much thought and deliberation, we've decided not to move forward with our plans to build a headquarters for Amazon in Long Island City, Queens. For Amazon, I already read this first paragraph. Project with many others envisioned. 70% of headquarters. Sorry, I'm kind of seeing where I read to. Okay. We're disappointed to have reached this conclusion. We love New York. Its incomparable dynamism.
What?
I don't know if that's dynamism.
Hey, Alexa, is dynamism a word?
Dynamism? Incomparable dynamism?
I don't know.
We are disappointed to have reached this conclusion. We love New York. Its incomparable dynamism, people and culture, and particularly the community of Long Island City, where we have gotten to know so many optimistic, forward-leaning community leaders, small business owners, and residents. There are currently over 5,000 Amazon employees in Brooklyn, Manhattan, Staten Island, and we plan to continue to grow these teams. Shuffle papers. We are deeply grateful to Governor Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio, and their staffs who so enthusiastically and graciously invited us to build in New York City and supported us during the process. Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio have worked tirelessly on behalf of New Yorkers to encourage local investment and job creation, and we can't speak positively enough about all their efforts. The steadfast commitment and dedication to these leaders have demonstrated to the communities they represent inspired us from the very beginning and is one of the big reasons our decision was so difficult. We do not intend to reopen the HQ2 search at this time. We will proceed as planned in North Virginia and Nashville and will continue to hire and grow across our 17 corporate offices and tech hubs in the U.S. and Canada. Thank you again. The mayor, the governor, and everybody else. We hope the future, whatever. That's it. Crazy stuff.
This is all so stupid.
It's
every portion of this story I think is stupid. I don't agree or like any of these people involved.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of with you on that.
Does that make me biased or unbiased? I can't tell. If I hate everybody involved, doesn't that make me unbiased?
I think that there's it depends who you ask. Because I think that for a large segment, well, not a large segment, for a vocal segment of either end of the spectrum, if you're not with us, you're against us. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So a lot of people consider you very biased.
Okay, so first, let's tackle Amazon.
Yep.
Okay, so I saw firsthand what Amazon has done to Seattle, and it's not good.
Yeah.
For the majority, I would say, of people, especially the native people, the people that were there before Amazon kind of took off.
Well, especially if you're going to do this this search thing, right? Like this, we're going to investigate and going into these communities, and
They played everybody.
they played everybody, and it's super late. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no that's so irredeemable to me. Like, just the way
It was really bad.
It's like you're going on dates with a girl, and she's just like, I don't really want to be with him.
Yeah, I wanted the free dinner.
Yeah, I'm not really looking for a relationship. It's like, well, why are you here? You know what I mean? Like, it's whack.
Yeah. So Jeff Bezos and his genitals own the Washington Post, which is a very left-leaning publication. He is the richest man, or at least was. Now he's got knocked down a couple of pegs.
Yeah, now his wife's the richest.
The richest divorcee in the world. So he's, formerly / we'll just call him the richest guy in the world, even though he's not. He's one of the richest people in the world.
You got to move past that point. Let's
Yeah. Well, it's an important point because if you are worth that much money,
he's very, very rich though. I mean, if he's first or second or fifth, it doesn't really
It doesn't matter. Yeah. If you have that much money, are you really going to want to put a headquarters that you're going to be spending a lot of time in Flint, Michigan, or in, Birmingham, Alabama, or in El Paso, any of these other cities that people were saying like, oh, you should go there and it would help revitalize the community. Go to Cleveland and revitalize the community. Like, dude, he's not going to do that.
Well, not just him. It's like, it's going to take. It requires a high-powered executive team to run a company like Amazon, and you're not. I mean, I'll tell you this: even where we are positioned in LA County, but on the eastern edge of
barely.
LA County, it is hard to get quality applicants that want to work outside of the city. It's a real struggle,
Yeah.
and that's because it's a 30-minute drive from the city. You know what I mean? No one's going to move to Cleveland because you offer them $200,000 plus benefits and bonuses when they could make $197,000 in the city they want to live in. You know what I mean? It's just there's just no way. It's never going to work. And I think that's why he's just like, we're just not doing this because, I think he's going to get the same pushback. I think with culturally, like the way the social climate is right now, and the way wealth has been demonized in this country currently, you're not going to find a major metro.
Yeah, the rich get richer.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm sorry. Your city is not cool.
Yeah, you're not going to find a major metro that's willing to take them in, honestly, at this point.
Well, to take them in, and that they would want to go in.
Yeah.
So, but I think like ultimately it was heavily Bezos wanting to go where he wants to go.
Yeah.
And the other side of that, so you got New York City, which is friggin' New York City. Mm-hmm. Then you've got Washington, D.C. You don't think that was on purpose? Like,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's just he wants to be close to his lobbying efforts.
Yeah, he's got to spend a lot of time in D.C. That's what I mean. It's places he knows
where he's going to be anyway.
Yeah.
So if he's going to be spending time in Washington, D.C., he's going to have a headquarters there. Like, hey, I'm going to go for business and go lobby and blah, blah, blah. Hey, I'm going to go to New York, and we got Wall Street, and we got all the, all my billionaire buddies are hanging out there, and I can go, wave my genitals and, Central Park South, whatever.
Well, and you can hop through, like if you need to go to Europe, if, he needs to go find all his hidden money in Scotland.
Absolutely.
You can get there real quick from JFK.
Yeah.
It's not like going from the West Coast, traveling to Europe is a mofo, right? Because you got, 6 hours across the country before you do.
Yeah, and now there's no A380, so you're going to have to walk.
Yeah, now there's no A380, so you're jogging half the way.
So that's problem number one that I saw with this, is that it was so blatantly just like, dude, don't even the top 20 and the whole crap. Like, it was just a farce and really stupid. Then there's the effect that Amazon has on where they're locating. They're bringing a lot of people in, like Cuomo, is like, we have the most talented people in the, like, of course you're going to say that. Like, that's a stupid comment, but it's not the point of Amazon wanting to go anywhere. They're bringing people into your area. That's the problem. These are highly dense populated areas already. Seattle wasn't that, it was populated city, but it wasn't, it was whatever number it was, not top 10.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure jobs are being created, right? Like, I'm sure people in those communities will find some, there will be a lot of jobs created by just vis-a-vis having all this, Amazon facility in the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, but they're not going to be like, the, director of e-commerce, right? They're going to be like entry-level positions, support positions, customer service, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to be support staff, the entry-level support staff, like throughout the company. So jobs, it's funny because everyone's like, these aren't jobs for New Yorkers. Well, some of them will be, right?
Yeah.
A lot of them will be. There's not, the majority of that wealth isn't going to immediately go back into the community,
No, yeah. Well, I mean, there's going to be trickle down stuff, but ultimately, what Amazon did to Seattle is housing prices skyrocketed, pushed everybody outside of the city like crazy. How quickly it happened. Everything gets overcrowded. You're in a transportation unfriendly political environment. Like Seattle, like Washington, D.C., like New York. Won't necessarily get into, that. But so traveling becomes an absolute nightmare because you have more cars, more people, and fewer in transportation options being pulled away for political reasons, whether it's, we want more bike lanes and blah, blah, blah. So it creates a very, chaotic, not fun to be in area as a result of just the overpopulation and the lack of transportation options. So not only were they making cities fight for them, but they're eventually going to essentially ruin the city.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I agree with that, but I also don't agree with that. You know what I mean? I do think that there's a toll that is taken on a city to have a company like Amazon located in the city. You know what I mean? But it does, as much as we want to claim like old Seattle was great Seattle, old Seattle was whatever. You know what I mean? Seattle wasn't the hub it is now back then. You know what I mean? For locals, locals I'm sure loved it.
It wasn't even close to being a hub of anything.
But I mean, tourists didn't go to Seattle.
No, I'm not talking about tourism. I'm talking about people that live there.
Yeah, no, great. I'm saying that city has grown and wealth has been created in that city thanks to the gentrification that happens through companies like Amazon being located.
Yes, well, and I'm going to get to that point. I'm talking about like the negatives from the Amazon side.
Yeah.
That is a negative from the city side pushing back.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's like, you have Amazon coming in and making it impossible for someone to go from Queen Anne to, what is it called? Soto, South Downtown or whatever they call it. Mm-hmm. It's a 5 miles and it will take you an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's just a nightmare.
Whenever I hear that talk, it reminds me of people in everyone that moves to San Francisco and thinks no one else should move to San Francisco.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's always that well, I'm here now, so nobody else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
But when you've lived somewhere and you're used to being able to do that, or hey, let's go into the city for the weekend, and then now you just don't. The quality of life takes a hit. Like you can't go to the city that you grew up in or you live in or whatever, or your housing, your property taxes go up so much that you can't afford to live there anymore. And it sucks. It sucks. So looking at it from the city side of it, pushing back, they're talking about, these tax breaks and, dude, these companies pay so much effing money
it's funny.
In tax.
It reminds me of in LA, there's always, every year the story comes up about the city of Anaheim and that Disney doesn't pay tax, property tax in Anaheim, right?
All the time. It comes up all the time.
Right? They got the sweetheart deal when they built Disneyland and they don't pay property tax in Anaheim. And it's a huge chunk of property, right? But, the thing people fail to realize is, what the nickname for Anaheim is? It's Anacrime. It is not a nice place, but if you go anywhere around Disneyland, it is beautiful hotels, beautiful Disneyland. It's such a revenue generator and job generator for that community. It's the only reason Anaheim isn't what's around Anaheim. La Habra, or like
like
you know,
Garden Grove and
or-
Westminster and Fountain
Westminster,
Valley,
which are fine communities. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to.
but they're not
like La Palma
world
or something,
known,
right? Yeah, they're not world known. They're run down. They're not. Yeah, they're not. They're not nice. They don't have anything nice in them that like. Other than what I think is great, like cultural food that is great. I guess garden. There's stuff, but it's not like Anaheim. And, and you see, in New York, this thing where it's like, no one's going to Long Island State. You know what I mean? Like,
take Disney out of Anaheim, and it would be a disaster.
Yeah, immediately.
You take, and this is, Amazon threatened this. You take Amazon out of Seattle, and that crash would be crippling for the entire region.
Yeah.
So the people that are complaining, and I recognize the dichotomy of my arguments right now is I am saying all of the negative things. I'm just being negative across the board, and some of them are contradicting. But you have the people complaining about Amazon being there, and then you've got, if Amazon left, the disaster that would ensue.
Well, it's complex, and I think that's the thing that people don't want to realize is it's like, there would be an improvement in your quality of life, right? Like, all these people that are, keep New York, keep Queens. These people all would benefit. You know what I mean? From
somehow. Yeah, it's not all great.
It's not all great, but their quality of life would improve to a level where thinking about regressing to a pre-Amazon time would be a scary, dark situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just like large parts of LA, right? When they get gentrified and they become like Arts District. Okay. I don't know if you go to Arts District ever, but that place was, basically garment district, basically giant warehouses, like Skid Row style, homeless encampments everywhere. And, it got gentrified. People built beautiful condos there. There's a bunch of breweries down there now and, restaurants and everything. And it's a great place to go on a weekend night, and it's safe. And if you think about it, if you live there, if that's your community, you know what I mean? I get it. It's more expensive now, but it's also safe. Like it's also, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that to me, those like gentrification. The South Park Soto Sopa episode. That's like a collective investment in an area. I think the Amazon thing is different because it's a singular company that's moving in that can move out and change everything in a heartbeat. The gentrification that happens around Amazon is a natural one based on the people that are working at Amazon.
Absolutely.
So it's a little bit more organic than, like a property investment company saying, okay, we're going to build all these like live work lofts and, have restaurants with dark wood chairs and, expensive drinks and mason jars.
I completely agree, but I just think globally it brings.
But but your point, is the same that the quality of life it does increase, and some people, like if you can't afford to live there anymore, it's not your right to live anywhere if you can't afford it.
Yeah, that's what
I can't just go buy a house in Beverly Hills. I would love to. It's like it's not my right to own a house there. If you look at it from that perspective, like, yes, I get that it's unfair that you are now being priced out of where you currently are, but it's no different than not being able to live someplace you don't already.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's unfair, it's unfortunate, it sucks, but it's still not a right.
Yeah, we can't generate our policy based on this like idea of equity of outcome, right? Like,
it's impossible.
Fairness of outcome is not something
It's impossible. It's stupid. It's moronic. Anyone who thinks,
we can just try and provide equal opportunity to people to achieve things. That's the best we can hope for.
Anybody that's listening that thinks equality of outcome is something that we should have, you're an idiot.
I wouldn't be so harsh.
I'm going to be that harsh. It's stupid.
I think you're a hopeful person that wants good things for people.
Yeah, and I think
that's a good thing.
Absolutely. But it's stupid. But you're stupid thinking. You're stupid thinking that it's possible.
I think being like an anti-vaxxer is stupid, right? I think wishing that people could, all have everything is.
Oh, that's great. I'm not saying that you're stupid if you wish that everyone all had the same great life.
Yeah,
that's great. I think that too. I think that would be great. I think it'd be fantastic.
It's a nice thought, even if it's not realistic.
It's a fantastic.
I think not vaccinating your kids is, I think that's stupid, right?
Yeah.
It's like being like, yeah, I won't. Vaccines might give my kid autism. I'd rather they have measles and die, right? That's stupid, right?
Yeah.
But being like, I wish everyone, like, no matter what, if they didn't even want to work, could have fulfilling, successful lives. That's a beautiful thought. I just don't think it's realistic.
I think it's a beautiful thought. Thinking it's possible is stupid. That's what I'm saying. Thinking that a quality of outcome is in any way obtainable is stupid.
Well, I just don't think we need to be harsh about the.
Well, I'm just a harsh person.
That's why I don't want to talk about this.
I know
you're gonna be mean to people.
It's hot
for thinking with hope in their hearts.
But there's a difference in hoping for that, wishing for that, and thinking that it's possible.
But I guess I don't know. I don't expect people to. I don't expect people to understand everything when they're when they're posted on Twitter. But I do expect people to understand that if you kill your child, that's not better than them having autism.
Yeah, but you have no. Yeah,
like that's something I think is fair to expect of people. When people have these ideas they learned at school or whatever, and it's like, no, these things are possible. It's like, fine, like whatever. Think what you know what I mean. Like I'm not immediately like, you're so stupid.
I don't think it makes it any less dumb. I think it's equally stupid. It's a more complex. It's more complex than vaccination versus not, but it's no less stupid of a.
It is
thought.
It is less stupid.
I mean,
you're saying it's less stupid. It's more complex. I mean, that by definition is less stupid to believe something that is less complex. I mean, we're getting into semantics.
Fair point. No, you're fair. It's a fair point. It's still stupid.
Fine, but I mean, we're getting into semantics.
You have siblings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have how many siblings do you have total?
3.
You have 3 siblings, so there's 4 of you. 4 people that were raised under the same roof with the same parents, with the same rules, with the same everything.
Sort of.
Are all 4 of you exactly the same outcome? Do you all make the same amount of money? Do you all have the same amount of stuff? Are you all the same amount of?
But that's not
with it.
That's not even the idea behind like the inequity.
It absolutely is, because how do you expect the same outcome to be had by people across the entire country of 100 and whatever million people when 4 people living under the same conditions have different outcomes? How do we expect hundreds of millions of people with varying degrees of?
Yeah, but you're being very like specific and like minimizing about it. Like I understand what you're saying, right? But the idea isn't that everyone, when people say equity of outcome, it's not like we'll all end up in exactly the same space and time and exactly the same amount of everything. It's that everyone would have a basic amount of, that it would be more standardized, right? I don't agree with it. Like, I'm not arguing from a point where I think that that's a reality, right?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is it's an ideal. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's correct or possible. I'm just not going to call them stupid. That's all. I
will. That is what differentiates us.
I guess so.
I will call you stupid.
You're a mean person. This is
but
why I didn't want to talk about.
I know, but it's still it's. I mean, this is the ugly side of technology. This is the ugly side of all the cool things that we're able to do right now. Is there's so much wealth and there's so much. Fuck, dude, we don't have to worry about where our next meal's coming from.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about, how we're going to get places, how we're going to see. I mean, it's like everything is so freaking easy that we have the time and energy to think about this stupid crap.
Yeah, in a way that is crazy.
It's completely crazy. But, ultimately for these communities, it would, in New York and specifically, it's over $10 billion of incremental tax revenue. Yeah, you got some tax breaks, but guess what? That's what competition is.
That's what it drives, yeah.
And like you either want to have them there or you don't. And, some people did, some people don't. Ultimately, they made it so difficult for Amazon to justify it from, frankly, a PR perspective that they just said, you know what? F this, we're going to just not do it at all.
Yeah, it's a scary time. I always am, I'm very concerned, like, and I've said this to kind of a friend before we were talking politics, and, but like it's scary to think of the poverty from a country that hates wealth so much. You know what I mean? like the if you hate wealth so much, like what are you aiming for? You know what I mean? And I feel like we're getting into a position like, you know, you've seen it with Elon Musk, you see it with Amazon, and I understand like these aren't the best people, or these people don't offer the best practices, or you know they're not the fairest people to their employees, but you know just this kind of blind kind of rage against wealth, and only you know, and it's only too much wealth, right? Like if Elizabeth Warren is worth $10 million, it's people that make $11 million that are the problem, right? You know,
the hypocrisy.
Well, it's not even like
ridiculous.
It's not even like hypocrisy. It's like you've got more than me. Like that's the problem. The problem isn't you've got X amount. It's that you've got more than me, and it's a very like dangerous idea to play. You know what I mean? Like it's a very dangerous thought process. And when you see when I look at this Amazon thing, I mean, a lot of it is Bezos and Amazon. They're a shitty company, right? They do a lot of shitty things.
They're rubbing people the wrong way,
Yeah.
and pun intended, Bezos, you sick F.
Yeah, they're not good people. I'm sure a lot of great people work for Amazon, but the company as a whole is they're not a quality company, ethically or morally. But you know,
Who is nowadays?
But you know, I think a lot of this opposition to them isn't opposition to the ideas, isn't opposition to job creation. It's opposition to wealth. You know what I mean? It's this blind anger at wealth and wealth creation and what that represents. And you know, to me, that's what's kind of scary about it all, right? Is that the power that this, you know, it's funny because you think back about, you know, 10 years ago and the kind of the political climate and, you know, all of these kind of like, you know, you kind of minimize these loud voices, right? Like, oh, it's just, you know, some crazy socialist kids and you know what I mean? Or, you know, these crazy right wingers.
Yeah.
And
it's the 15% on the extremities that are causing the most.
Yeah, and I think
noise.
10 years ago it was 5% on the extremities, right? Like those extremities are only growing, right? To the point where we're having real discussions about abortions and socialism. You know what I mean? It's like two things that
stuff that you would never have talked about even 5 years ago. I never thought
we would have to talk about again. And it's like, of course women should get to choose, and of course, you know, like we're not going to redistribute everyone's wealth. Like it's like these ideas are so fringe, and it's like and we're having real discussions about them now, and it's like I feel like that slippery slope.
Dude,
is
it's
like,
all for the clicks.
Yeah,
it is all for the clicks.
All for clicks.
It's all for the clicks because everyone is trying to like. The extreme ones are the ones that are getting the clicks. The clickbaity little things on the bottom of a website, like it's the most outrageous stuff. That's why news, like not network news necessarily, but you know, like cable news is so outrageous because they're trying to get eyeballs, and it's only the crazy wackadoo stuff that's going to get the eyeballs.
Yeah,
it's not going to be the like even keel arguments, you know, like, okay, let's pump the brakes. This doesn't make sense. And like, no one wants to watch that. People want to watch people scream with their hair on fire talking about, you know, infanticide and, you know, you're just like, dude, what? Yeah. No one thinks this. Nobody on either side thinks that's okay. No one on either side thinks open borders is okay. None of them.
Nobody does.
None of them. I don't care. You could be the most liberal freaking wackadoo ever. You do not want open borders. You don't. Trust me, you don't. You know you would not vote for it. If you're the, you know, like it's just.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And it's like.
It's a very weird time to be alive.
Such a weird, you know, and I think it's especially weird. And maybe our parents felt this way too. But it just feels like, you know, it's. You know, I was born in 1982. I graduated high school in 2000. You know, and so it's like. Watching this kind of social media ball tumble and this kind of news cycle change from these, you know, when I was growing up, it was like, you know, Sunday night, the CBS Nightly News and Tom Brokaw, you know what I mean? Like it was very much like, it was almost like an event to watch the evening news. And
here's what happened.
Here's what happened, right? And it's like
now it's here's what I think happened.
No, and it's
and
like,
what it means, and you're all going to be dead in a week.
It's not even that. It's like, you know, it's like Facebook feeding you stories at, you know, 7 a.m. before you've even woken up and having notifications that, the liberals want to kill babies after they're born, and everyone's a racist because they hate Mexicans. You know what I mean? And it's just it's like, what is going on? Like, this is too much. And it's just like, I wish we were. I don't know if we're gonna find our way back to being a thinking people,
dude. It's
it's like,
it can't last. There's a really I'm gonna blank on his freaking name. He had this quote. The name will come to me. He's
Gandhi.
like, nothing, something that can't last has to end.
Yeah.
This can't last.
Yeah, it can't.
It will end. And if we don't talk about what life is like after it ends, we're like going to be so screwed.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've been now like rambling in this centrist dreamland. But all I'm going to say is, like, let's not focus on the things that make us so angry. Let's just focus on trying to be better to each other and trying to enjoy our lives and help people enjoy their lives, and not get so caught in this cycle, right? Because I do too. I get, I read this stuff and get mad, and like, I'm like, oh, you're stupid, but it's so counterproductive, and we all do it, and it's so easy to pile on, and it's so kind of fun to get the wins, and that sucks.
Well, dude, it's the same thing that we talked about at the beginning about the video game
stuff.
It is.
It really is.
It's political news hype train.
It's all fractal, bro. It's just everything.
Yeah, it's like you have to one up the next guy.
Yeah, everyone has to, and it's driven us into these corners that are, they're teetering on.
Frederick Douglass, by the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he wrote Hitchhiker's Guide.
What?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He's a writer.
Frederick Douglass?
I think so.
Like the ex-slave?
Oh, slave?
Yeah, dude. He like died in 1895.
Who am I thinking of?
I don't know, but not Frederick Douglass.
It seems like an author. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, he was a writer, but he was like social reformer, abolitionist, writer.
It's something Douglas. I'm gonna have to cut this out. Not because I'm dumb, but because I'm taking too long looking it up.
No, yeah, this guy was like, he was born.
Oh, Douglas Adams.
Douglas Adams, yeah. So Frederick Douglass was born into slavery, and like.
I'm trying to probably take this out anyway.
Thought his way out of it. I mean, like all the horrors of slavery, and they tried to. Force illiteracy and stuff, and he ended up becoming illiterate and writing and being a fantastic thinker, and some of the quotes from him are like insane.
All right, let's wrap this up. Bill, what do you got to close with?
I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted too.
I am exhausted.
Reach out to us, techyeahpodcast@gmail.com, Tech Yeah Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. I've been posting the after show videos. I've been posting a lot of cool stuff. So
yeah, check out the YouTube channel, Tech Yeah, like youtube.com/Tech Yeah. You can see our little like post recording vignettes and whatever, and we just kind of recap the show. And
yeah, I'm getting those up on Facebook too. So.
Yeah, you can see our cute little faces.
Something like that. All right. Well, thank you guys. We love you.
Tech Yeah Podcast. We should just change the name. I mean, it's just going to be Political Yeah Podcast.
No, it's technology.
Every time, though. It happens.
You are calling everybody stupid.
Well, because they are stupid.
Well, all right. Goodbye, everybody. I
love you. We love you. You're not stupid. If you're listening to Tech Yeah, you're not stupid. We love you. Bye.